Hope everyone is doing fantastic. I'm here to coach you on sales or prospecting or whatever I can help you with particularly. If you have any questions, let's dive on in. Heidi, I think you said you had some stuff you wanted to get us kickstarted with, so I will let you take the lead.
Oh, actually, no. I just love everything you tell us.
I appreciate that. That's so funny. So you don't have any questions for me?
I'm sure I'll think of something.
Okay, no worries at all. Does anyone have any specific questions for me as we get started today? What's up, Nick? Good to see you, buddy. Hope you are well.
Hey, how's it going? How are you?
Dude, fantastic. No complaints. Does anyone have any specific questions for me first before we dive into anything today? Is there anything I could specifically support on?
Shoot me that link again real fast for the POD conference. I gotta sign up.
No worries.
I'm taking my son, so I guess I just need to sign up two separate times to get the discount 2 times.
Yep, that would be the right way to do it. Use that code, super secret, because it's super secret. Yeah, I know. Very clever. The other one was secret code, which I think was even funnier. So we were thinking maybe of doing the code. That was our other thought, or coupon code, but wasn't as good. We thought this one was better. Cool. If no one has any questions, I will coach you on something, and then we can see if anyone has any questions about it. Give me 1 sec.
Actually, I do have a question.
Hit me, Nick.
Okay, so we're talking about, man. I'm just hesitant on, okay, what do I do? What do we focus on, right? And so we're kicking it back and forth and talking about it. Actually, Heidi and I were talking about it, and we're talking about what has the most leverage, or what would be the best way to get started. And so let me find it. We're talking about the frequency of HVAC people, like who to focus on, what needs to focus on. And we're talking about the frequency of HVAC people, but the cost difference of like doing pools. And so I was thinking construction, because that's what I know really well. I know how to build pools, and I also, understand the whole HVAC industry. Man, what are your thoughts? Does it really even matter, or just throw a rock and get going? HVAC, every single house in America has an air conditioning unit in it, right?
Nick, can I slow you down for a sec?
Yeah.
I feel like we've created a decent connection. Can I be as if we were here privately, just me and you, and be blunt with you? Is it okay?
Yeah, shoot, go for it, man. I'm open.
Dude, this is the facts of the matter, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The only wrong decision is indecision.
Mm-hmm.
In everything in life, especially so in business.
Oh, yeah.
When we walk on eggshells about decision making, it comes with the assumption that we inherently know automatically what's going to be the right decision. This is related to what we've talked about in many of the sales consulting elements, Nick, related to, like, in sales, simplifying your offer, right? Having one option, not offering multiple things, because when you have so many options, it causes confusion. A confused prospect doesn't buy. It's not just that a confused prospect doesn't buy. Let's reframe that just a little bit. The confused entrepreneur doesn't decide. See how it's the same exact thing, just framed slightly different? And you're stuck in this, Nick, and you've been on here, bro. I've seen you on at least 3 of my calls, and I split them with Brian every other week, basically. Whoa, my internet froze. Am I good?
You're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, it froze for a second, but you're good.
Weird. All right, I'm going to close a few things and see if that makes a difference. But bluntly, man, you've been on it at least 8 of these calls total. At least. Okay. That's 2 months. That's far too long to not have made a decision or taken action on it, right? And I'm only saying this with love to help you, because I think this is the key mindset that's valuable for everyone to be considerate of. Did you ever watch that show, Squid Games, Nick? Did anyone here watch that show, Squid Games? Okay, one person, not exactly relevant if so, but one of the games basically is this concept of they're stepping on a pane of glass, and there's 2 options for each step. If you step on one, it will break through, the other won't, but you don't know which one is going to break, right? And so it's the same element, right? Related to this, Nick, it's unfortunately not 2 panes of glass, it's hundreds, because there's so many options. The problem with decision making is the time that you stay stagnant in the decision out of the fear of the glass breaking under you, right? the amount of lessons you could have learned by taking the decision moving forward
Mhm.
is way more impactful than staying. And so the concept moving forward for you, and then I'll answer your question directly, but I think this is extremely important for anyone kind of vacillating, uncertain, can't make a decision. You have to remember this concept that it is inherently illogical for a human being and an entrepreneur to make a purposely bad decision, right? That's not a thing that anyone goes into, Nick. It's like, oh, I'm going to make the wrong decision and pick the wrong niche. Like that's not how people's brain works, right? The reason why you don't make a decision, though, is out of fear of making a bad decision. But if you consider that you literally cannot make a bad decision unless it's in hindsight, right? What are we fearing anyways? Because here's the thing, okay? Metaphorically, you're worried about what's on the other side of that door. But if you spend so much time worrying about what's on the other side of the door, the only way you'll know what's on the other side of the door inherently is to do what? Tell me, Nick.
Yep, open it.
Open the door.
Yeah.
That's the only way. And the good news is on the other side of the door in this scenario, right? In this metaphor, nothing terrible can happen, right? In some other scenario, it might be a life or death thing, and it might be something very traumatic in terms of the decision making, right? But in these types of decisions, these smaller decisions, frankly, in business, there's nothing bad that can happen. The worst thing you could have done is you made a decision, you went forward with something, you put in a bunch of time with it and energy into it and effort into it, ultimately then to realize, no, this was the wrong decision.
Right.
Okay, now that it was the wrong decision, you can now look back in retrospect of the last 2 weeks, 1 month of work you've put in and identify, okay, what's the tweaks? What's the optimizations? What is the right thing to do? This is a pragmatic approach to decision-making, execution, and optimization versus the emotional approach of fear, uncertainty, lack of clarity, et cetera. Like if you fall into that trap, right, it's very, very hard to break out of. And that's where you are now. So it's really valuable for everyone to be considerate of avoiding indecision. I really, truly, sincerely believe, once again, the only wrong decision is indecision. That is the only wrong decision.
Right.
Ever. You can't make a wrong decision on purpose. If you end up making a decision that you end up realizing in hindsight was not the right decision, we audit that decision. We audit and optimize for the future so we can make the next decision. I think I've said this before, Nick, on these calls, but I'll say it really quick now. The benefit of being an agency owner or an entrepreneur or a SaaS business, all of those benefits is this concept, right? In the decision-making, your stakes are very low. The stakes we're talking about, Nick, are financial stakes, right? That's pretty much it. Just financial stakes. Now, when I say just financial stakes, I'm not demeaning the value of, financial freedom and making money and all those things. But in general, it's like, you can't be an airline pilot, right? And just be like, oh, it doesn't really matter if it's this button or this button. I'll just open the door, press the button and see which one works. You press the button and everyone dies on the plane. Well, the stakes are a little bit higher in that scenario, right? You're not in that scenario, Nick. So whether or not you chose HVAC or roofing or jewelry or lawyers, it doesn't matter.
Shit, it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter at all. Like you just figure it out and whether or not it worked or it didn't.
Yeah.
And for people starting out, I get this question all the time. Like, what's the diamond in the rough niche? It's like, there is no such thing of that. So let me clarify something for you, Nick, that I think will be valuable. And this is valuable for everyone, but I think will make a difference. And then I could talk about some diamond in the rough niches that, really don't exist, but I'll share a few. The concept is understanding like what high earners are, right? So less than 1% of agencies, right, make $100,000 a month. Even smaller than that, over $200,000 a month. I interviewed 8 agencies, 8 different companies that all are doing over $250,000 a month. All of them are doing more than $250,000 per month. It's crazy, right? It's unbelievable to consider the amount of money that they're making. It's almost unfathomable for people that are either starting or kind of stagnant at that 40 or 50K rate, which is a pretty common rate for people to kind of get stuck. This is what we call the freelancer trap. Like you figured out how to make money, figured out how to have some team members, but I'm kind of like 40 to 60K and I really don't know how to break out of that. That's really common, right? Every single one of the people that I spoke to, all of them, all 8 of them, one thing was in common, all of them. They had a Dream 100 partnership, a strategic partnership. So for example, one of them was a chiropractic agency that does over $200,000 a month. and they have a corporate sponsorship and deal with the Joint Chiropractic. For any of you in the United States, the Joint Chiropractic is a very popular chiropractic franchise. They don't have all of them, but they don't need all of them. They've got like 60 or 70 or 80 of them. I don't know the exact number, but a lot of them. Another one that I just did a consult with, I just did sales consulting for Restore Hyper Wellness. That's like a cryotherapy clinic. The person that runs the agency, he has a deal with Restore. He has 100 locations, 100 at $2,000 a month. Do the math, right? So do you think that the people that started this company, all of them right up front were like, I want to work with chiropractors, or I definitely want to work with cryotherapy, and that happened? No fucking way, man. Maybe one or two or three of them, but definitely not all of them. Most of the people that have any financial success, ranging from $10,000 minimum to $250,000 max, right? Because usually it's not much past that. But those ranges, so many people start with a plan and then it gets completely changed by one opportunity coming across the plate. I worked with a client in POD that worked with med spas. She had a $40,000 a month marketing agency. She went to sponsor an event, and at the event she met someone who runs a red light therapy clinic. She had no clients in the red light therapy clinic. She started running ads for this red light therapy clinic. This guy said, you're doing such an amazing job. I have more than 1,000 estheticians that use this. I want them to meet you so you can get them. That agency quickly turned from 40 clients to 200 clients in about 6 months or 9 months. I can't remember the exact number, but it was very fast. Right? Well, that's not med spas anymore. Now it's red light therapy. It's similar, but obviously not exactly the same. The opportunities come to you as you create the opportunities. Brian considers this. I don't know if he's shared this with you guys before, but Brian is a big believer of cultivating your own luck, creating your own luck. This is an example of that, right? By making the decision, executing on it. In terms of like diamond in the rough niches, things that are unique and different, there's a couple that I constantly tell people about that still are really not utilized. Funeral homes is an interesting one if you're getting started. It's not the most fun niche, obviously, but the demand is high, obviously, and never ends, unfortunately.
What was that one?
Funeral homes.
Oh, funeral homes.
Yeah. The demand is high and never ends. Jewelry. The jewelry is a really unique one. A lot of jewelry has moved to online selling. So, helping people that do e-com and, brick and mortar is very valuable. Not any of the major companies you're not going to get, probably not going to get a deal with like K Jewelers and those ones, highly unlikely, but there's so many, it's actually unfathomable how many mom and pop like jewelry dealers there are. There's an insane amount, and especially in certain cities, like obviously Manhattan, like New York City probably has over 1,000 just in New York City, like probably only a little bit of hyperbole when I even said that. It's probably realistic. That's another one. The other one that I've seen is like farms or like horse training, anything like that. The amount of money available in those industries is absolutely insane. It's just crazy, like how much it costs to manage a horse, to board horses, to breed horses. We've worked with 2 people that did equine, I think it's called, equine training. Very weird experience, but they made a lot of money. So like just some unique ones, but you don't really have to even think so much outside of the box, because even with the more saturated industries, like doctors and attorneys and home renovation, like the amount of available clients, right? The pie so far outweighs the amount of agencies vying for the pie, that the demand doesn't matter, right? So even if you're going against, for example, let's say the chiropractic one, you're going against the guys that run, this joint, the joint partnership, right? Yeah, okay, fine. They have a 250K agency, but that doesn't preclude you from having a different franchise that you work with, or just local businesses. And it also doesn't mean you have to have a $250,000 a month agency. You might want a $10,000 a month agency that gives you a little bit of money. Well, that's not that hard. It's not that hard to do. If you're charging $500, $1,000, you need 10 clients, you need 20 clients, you need 30 clients. You think there's not 20, 30 clients available to you because one company has, 250K a month agency? What do you think the total amount of chiropractors are versus the 250K agency? They don't even have 1% of the market share, not even 1%. So Like,
Like
people
with the
ask,
gas station.
oh, is it saturated? It's like, no, it's not saturated. It's saturated because you're in a marketing bubble, because everyone you talk to is in marketing. Just go talk to any of your friends outside of marketing and ask them anything about this big. What the fuck are you talking about? Like it has not, it has no bearing. You're just in the bubble, right? And so it creates that saturation. That's how human brains work. You're like, well, I spoke to 3 people, and so they all run chiropractic agencies, so it's got to be saturated. No, it's not how it works. Here's an easy example. Just search chiropractor in your area. In a 20-mile radius, there's probably 10 of them, minimum. And we all live in different places. In a 50-mile radius, there's probably 100. So just consider that. Do you really think that the market is saturated? Of course not. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. So those are considerations. In terms of HVAC, that was your initial question?
Well, I think you answered. You said Dream 100 was the answer, really, because man, if you could do a Dream 100, you're golden. And then
Nick,
you said, and basically,
I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to everyone, but I'm really speaking to you one-to-one, really here. Like, because I've spoken to you many times. Like, you need to just go to events that are with this industry and just use your skill of communication. You're a good communicator, good person, easy to connect with, affable, good listener, asks good questions. All of those things are important skills to just go to an event as an attendee related to this industry and just go. One of my clients is working with med spas, and I'm having her go to an event in Cali that's for med spa practitioners. There's 1,000 people going to this event. The people that are sponsoring the event, right, are all potential Dream 100s because they run specific types of products that estheticians use. She can go connect with them. Maybe she creates a connection with one of them that creates opportunity. You just got to do the same thing, Nick. That's all it is.
Yeah, I've been going to some events and I've made some sales, but I just want to niche down. So that's what I'm going to do, just pick one and niche down and go to events that are in that niche, just so I can make it easier.
Just look in your area, just see what's available. Who knows? Like if you go to an eye locally, you might find someone in that niche already. The goal for me when I'm coaching anything related to Dream 100 stuff is, if the goal ideally is to have something that has multiple opportunities. So like with attorneys, it would be multiple locations, or they went to law school with other attorneys they're close with, right? Like those are 2 examples. For medical spas, it would be like, are they part of a franchise? Like Skin, for example, is a franchise. I don't really know that, like many franchises in med spas, or like M-Face is an example. And then products, right? That's the next one, right? For HVAC, it's products and like Serve Pros as an example. They do water and motor remediation, but that's like an example, right? If you do go to franchises, right, and they don't already have a corporate sponsorship, marketing sponsorship, right, and they're kind of on their own, the opportunity is immense to get into it, right? And so the angle that you do is you get great results for the first company. That company will have a regional manager that they're responsible for. As soon as you get a great result, you explain, I would love to chat with your regional manager because I want to be able to work with other, let's say restores or, Serve Pros just like you. And if you connect me with them and show the results and I get any additional clients, I'll give you a month for free. Easy peasy. Give you 2 months for whatever the price is. Doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Because if you get that regional manager, and that regional manager has 20 locations, well, that's gold right there for you. Not one-to-one anymore. It's not just ads one-to-one, not selling one-to-one. You sell one person has access to 20. Are you going to get 20 up front? Highly unlikely. But if you get 3, you get 4, you get 5, get great results for them, then you get 10, then you get 15, then you get 20. 3 months later, you're now at 25, and he's connecting you with the other regional manager that he knows. And what does that do? Furthers the opportunity.
Yeah.
This is the most important thing for long-term growth in agencies, and it's very often bypassed, but it's necessary, and SaaS as well.
Nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for me today? Anyone have any specific questions on what I was just talking about or anything in general? Shane, did you have something?
That really was great. Can you elaborate on the Dream 100?
Yeah. So just Dream 100 in general is just any one-to-many approach of sales, right? One-to-many approach. The Dream 100 concept usually is not used in the way I'm explaining it. Like if you search it online, Dream 100 is usually like a hit list of people that you want to be connected to. Like that's usually how people frame it. So
in all the different industries.
Yeah. Like, you want to connect with someone that runs this podcast or that does this thing. We just, did it a little bit different in POD, but the other way to think about it is like strategic partnerships or one-to-many approach. The one-to-many approach is what we were just talking about related to get that location, get the regional manager, multiple webinar opportunities, like anything that is a one-to-many approach is ideal because it multiplies your success significantly.
Mhm.
Events are the best way to do it by far.
Yeah, I've got a Dream 100 form. I'm going to bust it out, fill it out, and get after it.
Yeah, Justin, I got you 100%. I think Shane had a question though, so let me get him and then I'll answer that for you.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good, mate. We've got a lot of
Is it
affiliates
4:30
sort
in
of
the morning,
working.
by the way, for you right now?
Yeah, it's pretty early. It's not too bad actually. It's past 6 now. So
Okay. Go ahead.
we have quite a few affiliates that sort of work for us, and I'm trying to pre-frame them not to sell too much. I find it's actually going in the opposite direction. They're offering and offering. Oh, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, and the bottleneck is now becoming the actual implementation and getting them live. Have you got any suggestions about some parameters or some boundaries to sort of put them in so that we don't end up just killing ourselves on the tech side of things?
Yeah, let me clarify so I make sure I'm on the same page. The obstacle is that the affiliates are trying to make a sale by any means necessary. So they're offering any number of variables A through Z. So like, let's say 10, 15, 20 different variables, which makes the onboarding a challenge because each one is a different variable.
Yeah, that's right. And they will offer other things like, oh, we'll import your active campaign or we'll do your MailChimp. And it's like all of these things all take time and we have to.
I have the answer. Very simple. It's actually stupid simple, easy. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to put together an affiliate sheet of offers that they are allowed to make and what they cannot make. Any questions that they have, they'll ask you. Any mistakes that they make due to, excuse me, it not being on the sheet, you just add it to the sheet. Give yourself this grace of understanding, like, you put an hour in, let's say, to this. Okay, Shane, excuse me. You put an hour into it and you have a list of like, hey, here's our standard offers. It's this, it's this, it's this. These are the prices. These are the features we can do. We cannot do this and this and this, like from the things that you know are a huge hassle. For example, let's just use the active campaign one. I'm not saying that's what you have to do. I'm just using an example. We don't do active campaign. We don't build websites custom. We don't do, I don't know, whatever else, right?
Yep. Got it.
If you want to say benefits you might want to add, give them 3 or 4 things that they can consider, right? As like additional handles. You want to make this a 1-pager. So it's really easy for them to have and read. Give yourself grace knowing that they're going to probably sell some stuff that was not included on the sheet. And then you just put it on the sheet after that, right?
Yeah.
But they have to follow through with that. Otherwise, they're not affiliates anymore, right? In terms of the implementation though side, right? For the implementation side, the thing that I found for a CRM is offering one-to-one calls to start. So they have an appropriate understanding of like expectations. But it's tough, man. It's really frustrating trying to do custom work for every single person that you bring on. It's not repeatable or replicable, and it costs way more time than it makes you money, especially if you're just doing SaaS. If you're doing marketing as well, it's a little bit more reasonable. But if you're selling a $300, $400, $500 SaaS product strictly and only, the amount of time opportunity cost wasted due to the fact of unique onboarding for every single client, nothing is duplicated. You're basically at zero profitability. You have none because the time valuation is really bad. So it's just something to consider, right? You want to have like a very consistent onboarding process to the best of your ability so that it's easy to be done. That helps.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Of course, my pleasure. No worries. Justin Uribe, could you talk a little bit more about the jewelry store strategy? I have a potential client in downtown Los Angeles. Justin, do you want to ask me more clearly, like, what do you mean about the strategy in general? Is there a specific question you have related to it?
You were mentioning something about Manhattan jewelry stores and the connection. I think you said there was some network of.
Sure. Yeah, I was just utilizing that as like a untapped niche, really, but more so as an argument to the contrary that there really is no such thing as like saturated or unsaturated niches. I'm just talking about from my experience. I've been running an agency since 2010, and I've been coaching in the agency space since 2016. So pretty good sense of, a large amount of things going on in the agency world. It's very rare to hear someone that specializes strictly in jewelry. A lot of people that do that work in e-com, and then they work with multiple different types of companies. We have worked actually with 2 different companies that did jewelry strictly, e-commerce strictly, and we're making insane amounts of money. In terms of the strategy, in terms of what you were talking about, of the one to many, that would have to be a jewelry store that has either multiple locations or is a franchise jewelry store. I don't know enough about jewelry stores in general. Like, I don't even know if I can name 3. I know Kay, Jared. I don't think I even know a third. What's the third, Sheer? Kay, Jared. Is there another one that you have on your mind, Bev? Do you know another one? Kay, Jared, what else? Yeah, the main ones. Okay, my wife can't even name a third one. So my point being is that it's like, I wouldn't expect to be creating a Dream 100 opportunity with any of those companies. Unlikely. I mean, it's highly unlikely. They probably already have, those in place. The question is, what are the ones that I'm ignorant to, Justin, related to smaller franchises? Is there a smaller jewelry franchise that I'm unaware of that has 35 locations across the United States? Is there one of those? If there is one of those, that's the one you want to be a part of. If you're talking about just strictly random potential client in downtown LA, that's fine, right? All good. But I was talking about the one-to-many approach of creating opportunities, like referencing again ServPro, right? So ServPro is a water motor remediation company. So if every single one of you who live in the United States search ServPro right now, the local ServPro is going to show on your Google, right? So Tampa and wherever in LA and so and so and so and so. If I'm working with one ServPro, I get good results for them. I get to speak to regional manager who can maybe speak to 5 other ones. That was what I was referencing. Does that make more sense?
Yes, definitely.
Cool. Is there any specific questions you have for me on kind of the outreach? Is there anything specific that you wanted me to clarify for you?
No, I thought there was you brushed on it over Manhattan. I was just, any tips I can get on how to help these guys?
In terms of how to help them, I mean, the method is pretty simple. It's going to be for on the SaaS side of things, particularly with jewelry stores. It's just going to be missed call text back will be huge. And then number 2 will be like list segmentation and database reactivation. The reason being, list segmentation is so important because it can help them understand like who to reach out to and when, based off of follow-up, based on gifting. Like if your client experience is, someone comes in and they're considering, buying something for their wife's, birthday in 6 months, pretty common, I would say, in jewelry stores, because they have to save up for it. Is someone following up in 3 months? Is someone following up in 6 months?
Yeah, that was my strategy with them right now is they didn't have a CRM. So I'm pitching them on the high level CRM, and all they used was QuickBooks for invoicing. So they don't have any kind of they have no CRM. It's just whatever's in QuickBooks. So I'm importing their. That's
crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, I would be talking to them about the list segmentation and follow-up ability of being able to communicate with the people that, want to buy something, but down the road. Because I mean, I don't know the jewelry industry that well, but I would have a pretty decent understanding to consider that just in the majority of walk-in traffic or call traffic that they get is not immediate buyers. That's probably a very small percentage, extremely small. The large percentage of these people are awareness seekers that are then going to also compare and contrast said price of, piece of jewelry to however many stores, probably a lot, probably 5, if not more, because especially considering how expensive the majority of jewelry is, right? So the one who's following up has a much better chance of getting the deal done. So if someone goes in and 7 days later, there's an automated message. It's like, hey, Chelsea, haven't heard from you. I know you were interested in, getting some jewelry for your husband or your wife. And I wanted to see, if you had any questions for me. We'd love to support you at blah, blah, blah jewelers. Super valuable. Super valuable.
Thank you.
Absolutely. No worries. Any other questions for me, guys? Anyone got anything for me? Any questions? Let me see if there's anything in the Facebook group. I did not check that. Nope. All good. Cool. Well, if you don't have any questions,
when you're saying list segmentations, what do you mean? Are you tagging people based upon different things and then putting them in specific?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So like this is just off the top of my head, right? Like not without like the ability to really think it through. But if we're continuing down the jewelry mindset, right? It's like, again, maybe stupid tagging, but just for the sake of it, like husband buying for wife maybe is like a tag, wife buying for husband. So it makes the messaging so much easier if you have some of this data, right? So like imagine year end, right? So Q4, let's say, October, November, December, we have like a specific tag for holiday purchaser, right? And so from the year prior, now we're saying a year later, but right, like from the year prior, if you message someone in October, like, hey, we know you came in a year ago to consider getting some jewelry for your loved one. We have some special prices that we're going to only offer to people that have come back, yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? Like that is extremely valuable. So that type of list segmentation is what I mean.
Okay. I like that.
That's what I would consider.
And then just put them in a specific funnel or something like that. And any way to, would you do
I'd probably
Facebook?
be like, probably weekly or bi-weekly newsletters, where you're just sending out like information on the products that they have and deals that they have and that kind of stuff. I don't know really that much about jewelry in general, but this is just off the cuff.
Mm-hmm.
Any market research you do, you'll learn so much, just any market research, any conversations, you'll get so much insight right away.
Right. Just about their pain points.
Exactly. Also, though, there's things that they're like, because Heidi, you have insight into automation and marketing and what GHL can do. It's not just that they have pain points. It's that you have potentially things they haven't even considered, right? Like this consideration we just brought up, right? If last year, again, really, last year I went in October to go look at some diamond earrings to consider buying for my wife for the holidays, right? And no one followed up with me ever. No one called me, no one texted me, nothing. Probably the experience was I wouldn't buy from them. And maybe I bought this expensive product from someone else. Who knows? But maybe I never bought the product, period, because that happens a lot, I'm sure, at jewelry stores. But then a year later, I get a message. It's like, hey, the holiday season's coming up. I know you came in last year for consideration. Are you considering it again? We'd love to give you a 25%, 20% discount, whatever it is, before the holiday rush starts. That would be a really intriguing thing to get, something very different. And you know what? I'm guessing the majority of jewelry stores are probably not in at all considering what we're talking about right now. And so is that worth, $300 a month for a year? I mean, do the math, right? I mean, they sell one piece of jewelry. It's probably going to pay for the entire year. So, that would be my consideration. What I would try to avoid if I was Justin, particularly if he's really thinking about this, and Heidi as well, it's just limit it. You have to limit it. We sometimes get very over eager about all the different things we can do, but and we've spoken about this many times, Heidi, on this, but I think this is Justin's first call, at least with me. If you overwhelm them, they won't buy it because they're not going to use all of it. So even though you think it's great that you can give them feature X, Y, Z, A, B, C, etc., right? Just giving them feature X or just giving them feature X and Y is actually way more valuable. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. And I'm a very big believer of this. When I get a question that's asked, what's the best tool? The best tool is the one that's used. Meaning, if you're shopping for the best hammer in the world, right? You buy the best hammer in the world, and then you don't use the hammer. It's like Schrodinger's hammer. Do you have the hammer? Do you not have the hammer? What's the purpose of the hammer? It's the same exact thing with high level. You're like, I'm selling you this and this and this and this. They're not going to use all of it. They're not going to just magically. Justin just said they don't use a CRM. Well, they've been in business for some time. It's not like they're 3 months old, right? So what? We're going to go in and change the entire paradigm of their business with 17 different features they're going to do? What's going to happen? They're going to message Justin in a week, in a month, or 2 months and be like, this is too overwhelming. Thanks, bye. Versus, we're going to do these two things. It's very easy. This one thing is going to do this. This one thing is automated and you have to do shit. Sounds good? Sounds good. It's like, don't overdo it. And we do this a lot, right? And I actually learned this from attorneys when I started selling. I used to be like this and this and this and this. And they would say like, I don't even care about the other stuff. I just want the cases. I'm like, oh, interesting. So I changed my pitch. Hey, I'm going to get you more cases. How? You don't really care about that, right? You just want me to get you more cases legally, ethically, consistently, predictably. I've spoken to a lot of attorneys. They told me when I start going into other stuff, they don't really care. I care, but they don't really care, right? Just as much if the roles are reversed and I'm hiring you as my attorney, do I really want to know about every single thing that you're putting into the, to the judge, the communication you're having, like all the forms? No, I just want you to, deal with my case, right? Yeah, same kind of thing. They're like, yeah.
I literally scared them off my first conversation with them because I listed, I can do this, this, and this, and this, because they are doing everything like paper and pen, handwritten.
It's totally manual. Okay. You have to learn the lesson, right? You have to learn the lesson. That's why we have the calls though, right? To shortcut the lesson, right? It's focused on a result, right? I've said this again. I'll say it again. The plumbing metaphor is easy, Justin, if you haven't heard me say this one. So I'm going to give it to you. Okay, Justin, if your toilet breaks, all right, if your toilet breaks and you call a plumber and say, hey, my toilet broke, can you come over and fix it? He says, hey, I have 3 options of me on how to fix it. Okay, I can fix it with my hand. I can fix it with a vacuum. I can fix it with a snake. What do you think the most likelihood answer is that you would say? What would you say?
Think is best. Whatever you think is best.
I don't care, right? Just
whatever
get it done as cheap as possible or inexpensive as possible, as fast as possible, and I don't want it to break again. But then he insists, no. I got to tell you about the SuperVac Snake 3200. It's a huge upgrade from the 2200 that came out in 2019. Here's all the, and you're just like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. That's the same thing that happens with GHL. No one cares about GHL. They don't care about it. They don't care about what it does. They don't care about the features. They just want the result that it does. Hey, you know, all the client calls that you miss that potentially call other people that buy your stuff, we're going to send them an automated text message that's going to allow them to communicate with you and come back in. You can either give them a discount or you can just showcase that, hey, like I'm busy, but we care about you. It's going to increase your sales rate. Hey, you know, the people that came in for the holidays that we didn't follow up with, I'm going to show you how to do list segmentation. Super easy to do. It's one button. Bam, there's automation. It's easy, but you can't overdo it. You cannot. Because they're not the experts. They're not going to be like, I want this feature and I want this feature and I want this feature. They only want a result. Focus on the result, give them the feature that does it. That's it. That make sense? Any other questions for me, guys?
I have one question about missed call text back.
Ask.
On the call, I think it was on Monday, I heard them mention that don't use the missed call text back that's in the platform just to flip and the switch. They said do workflow instead.
All tech stuff's over my head.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I don't know any tech stuff. Was it James Hurst that said it or Joel? Who said it?
Zach was on Monday,
yes.
and they do have one that they've made that's for all of it. They have the forums, the funnel.
Yeah. Do whatever Zach says. He knows what he's talking about. Okay. I don't know any stuff. For me, tech stuff is I have my guy John. He's on my team. I'm like, John, do this thing. And then he does it. You know why? Because I don't want him to tell me how he did it. I don't care. I just want the result, right? Same exact.
That's awesome.
I'm like, John, do the abracadabra magic thing and make it work. And then he does. And I'm like, great. Works for me. I don't know anything about tech. It's so funny when I go to I spoke at the GHL event last month. And some people, I think, assume because I speak at the event that I like understand all the tech stuff. I'm like, I don't know shit about the tech. I don't know how it works. I don't understand it. Might as well be Harry Potter magic. I don't get it. But it works because I have a guy that I paid that makes it work. So that's what I do. I wish I could help more, but that's why we have Zach here. I think James as well. You know, Extendly community is really good. They have a lot of really, 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 really smart people to help you. You're welcome. I wish I could help more on that, but honestly, I don't wish I could help more because I don't really want to know any of the nuanced details of the tech stuff. It's incredibly overwhelming and ridiculous, especially with high level, just being obsessed with pulling out new features every day. It's like, hey, look at this new thing. I'm like, great, awesome. I just learned the thing that you launched 6 months ago. So great. I'm so glad that you launched another thing for the 50th time in the last 2 weeks. So crazy. It's absolutely insane. Oh, it's wild. But yeah, it is what it is. What's up, Sean? Good to have you, buddy. Hope you're well. Anyone have
Hey, Alex, what's up, brother? Good to see you.
Dude. I'm doing good. Anyone have any other questions for me? Sales related, prospecting, strategic partnerships, anything before I rock and roll today?
I actually have a question, and sorry, everyone, my camera on this machine does not work. But
all mortally offended, Sean.
I'll make sure that doesn't happen. I'll get on the computer the next time. But the question is, for instance, when it comes to really going after, I guess, the right types of clients. You may have covered this. I'm sorry I got in late, but going after the right types of clients in terms of people that, you know, when we're speaking about some of these prices in terms of like $297 a month, and then I'll come across other people that are saying, wow, man, you know, we charge $1,500 a month and we charge $2,000 a month. And, you know, in my mind, it's just so far out. In terms of just like the services offered, I don't know. Well, again, I don't know what.
I highly doubt, doesn't mean I'm correct, but I highly doubt that there's any successful SaaS companies charging $2,000 a month that are not doing marketing services.
Okay, so that's combined with services then. That's basically what it is?
I would expect that.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best way to go after customers that would spend $2,000 a month with no problem?
That is a pretty broad question.
Okay, fair.
So, like what fair. Niche, what specify that more for me.
Okay, so I guess maybe I'm the biggest thing is I'm playing in the smaller ponds, and I want to kind of play in the bigger ponds, and I need to kind of re-strategize that to go after the bigger.
So Sean, like there's some like basic logic that you can apply to like the business building principles, right? So like if you want people that are willing to spend higher ticket pricing, right? Logically, you would expect that they would be making more money per service that they're being provided, right? So if you're working with a local pizza restaurant, it's pretty unlikely that you would expect that they're comfortable spending, several $1,000s a month in marketing. It doesn't mean that they won't. It just means that it's less likely than working with an attorney. So I'll give you an example so you can kind of understand how I've built my company, and I think it will help you, okay? So we charge $5,000 a month for our service, okay? We charge $5,000 a month. It's a Google ad service for attorneys. Simple. That's it. Nothing else. $5,000 a month. Okay. If we work for an attorney for a year, okay, they paid us $60,000, right? We're on the same page. Here's the thing. What we do is we help personal injury attorneys get more cases. The average case that they generate is roughly $1,000 to $3,000. But the unaverage case or uncommon case, right, or even rare case could potentially be $100,000, $250,000, or $400,000 more in terms of the settlement. Those types of cases, in case you want some like understanding of the industry, would be for people that have been paralyzed, wrongful death, like life-altering injuries, long hospital stays, comas, those types of things. Obviously, all sucks, obviously, but this is the world we live in. There's probably 1,000 plus car accidents that have occurred in the United States since we started this meeting. Probably more than that, honestly. So let's do the math here, okay? On average, an attorney generates 30% from a settlement. Usually, some of them will charge a little bit less that are smaller in order to compete, right? So like a local attorney that is one attorney versus an attorney that has 200 attorneys like Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan's going to charge 30% always. The local attorney might do 25% to be competitive so that you work with him instead of Morgan & Morgan, right? That's kind of a common thought process. So let's say one time in a year, just one time, we get them a $250,000 case, okay? You do the math here, times 0.30, okay? That is a $75,000 settlement. How much did I tell you that they paid me in a year? Do you remember the number?
60,000.
How much more money did they make? 15,000.
Exactly.
This is just from one case the whole year. If I just get them one case, that's worth $250,000 in the whole year, right? The whole year that I'm running advertising for them, they already made $15,000 plus. Are they going to be happy with that? Of course not. No, not just from one case. But you got to consider it's not just one case, right? If we curate for them, right, in a year, let's say 50 cases or 40 cases, and 38 of them are the $1,000 to $2,000 cases. First of all, they've made a decent amount of money, probably $40,000 to $80,000. Okay. Again, they paid me 60. A little bit more they paid obviously because of ad spend as well. So let's say they paid $90,000 total. So they made $40,000 to $80,000 strictly just from the $1,000 to $2,000 cases. But two of them that I got them in the whole year, just two, were over $250,000 in terms of total settlement. And they made from both of those $150,000 total.
Gotcha. Now here's the rub for me is how do you guarantee that you would actually be able to deliver on getting, not the big ones, but let's say the smaller cases. How do you know that you don't guarantee it?
No, there's no need to guarantee it because I can't guarantee it. I don't control the market. It's just like, it's simple supply and demand. It's like simple business economics. It's like, look, you are in the personal injury space, right? You run a personal injury law office in Tampa. Okay, let's talk about the market in Tampa. There's more than 100 personal injury attorneys in Tampa. Okay, the billboards on the highway in Tampa cost $250,000 a month a little bit less sometimes, but around that number. Okay. You're not going to be able to afford that. I'm not asking you to spend anywhere near that number. The large companies are going to get the majority of calls from that. SEO wise, takes much longer to achieve the results that you want, but pretty much every single company is going to be doing that. Google Ads, the most competitive niche is going to be personal injury attorneys. Either you're not going to run advertising and you're going to struggle to generate opportunities and grow your firm, or you're going to run advertising and you have to compete against everyone else. The value of what we do is that we believe we are the best advertising company available for this. And our focus is trying to get you with higher leverage cases. By getting you higher leverage cases, you won't really care about the smaller cases we get. Every attorney wants to have cases, under $2,000 cost per acquisition because of what I already just told you, which is the average case is roughly $1,500 to $2,500. There's a lot of casework that attorneys do where they lose money from it, but over time, they don't lose money because then they tell their friends, they tell their parents. And when they get into a car accident, eventually they're going to work with this attorney. That's how it works usually. That's the business model. And so when you just lay it out for them factually of like, this is the market, either you're going to invest in something or you're not going to be able to compete in the marketplace. And so I can't guarantee it. If they're like, oh, well, someone else will guarantee it, then I'll always use this line. By all means, like work with a company that will guarantee the result, right? But I think that the key element is understanding this, like logically, pragmatically, it's impossible to guarantee. No one controls the other end user on Google, right? If I run an ad on Google or on Facebook, I don't control the person who just got into a car accident to click on the ad. Yeah, we can, make better ads and such, obviously, but we don't control that. So when someone's guaranteeing it, they're guaranteeing something that's out of their control. So that doesn't mean they're going to get you the result. It just means they're going to give you whatever they promised after the result. Yeah. They promise to give your money back. Fine. They're going to assume all the risk. I'm not going to be able to assume all the risk. That's too risky for me and the business I'm running, just as much as you're not going to guarantee that you're going to win my case. You might guarantee that you won't get paid if you don't win the case. That's a different model. I don't operate in that way. And when you have the ambivalence or indifference to the sale process of them, ultimately you get two things. One, they're either like, interesting. Okay, I'll work with you. Or two, I'm going to go with this other company. And then you follow up with them in 30 and 60 and 90 days. And either they're happy or they're not. It's that simple.
Has a customer ever come to you and said, hey, I paid you, $5,000 for the, 2 months and I haven't gotten any clients from that to make more money.
The answer is of course. I said, the answer. Of course. Yeah. Of course that's happened.
So what is your response?
Dude, I've been in the industry in 2010. Of course.
Yeah. So what is your response to that?
When someone says, oh, like I want my money back or something like that?
Well, more so that they're angry that they said that they spent, money and they don't see.
Yeah. So, it would be the expectation framing has to be done correctly. I use the gym frame with every client I work with in both my companies because it's very important. It's like, look, I want you to be cognizant of the expectations we have. Our goal every month is to make you profitable on advertising, right? But that's just not the landscape of the space, right? If I get you 7 cases, all 7 cases are low volume for you, you might make $7,000 to $8,000, but it's not worth the time that you put in, certainly. And you're going to have to pay money for ads. So you either might be a little bit profitable or break even, but the whole goal of working with us is to get higher value cases. Ideally, we get 1 high value case per quarter. If you get 1 high value case per quarter, it's going to pay basically for the entire year, which makes you feel more comfortable. So if you expect like in 2 months that you're going to make gangbusters money, it's just unlikely. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. Is it going to happen? I'm not going to say it's going to happen. It happens sometimes and doesn't happen other times. It's just part of, the process. Like some people get into car accidents that are catastrophic and require significantly higher settlements, and other people get into car accidents that, was a rear end and you make $1,000. Like that's just the reality of it. So the way that I like to consider it is similar to a gym, right? If you go to a gym and you're like, I want to lose 100 pounds, you're not going to say in 2 months, like, oh my God, why didn't I lose 100 pounds, right? This is not an investment for a month-to-month plan. This investment is something very cognizant of for at minimum half the year, if not the entire year. And if you consider it for half the year at $30,000, and I'm able to get you just one high value case at 30%, roughly like say $250,000, you're going to make $75,000. It's a no-brainer. And obviously not every single case we do, Sean, is going to be that, but some of them also won't be just 1,000. Some of them will be 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, which is fairly common, but I don't want you to have the expectation that it's just, oh my God, you're going to be gangbusters in 2 months. It's possible, but that's not the expectation. When you tell that to people, they're not used to real expectations because most people sell with ridiculous claims because they don't know how to sell any other way. They're not taught. So when you recognize that transparency, authenticity, confidence, and appropriate expectation setting is the key, makes a huge difference. Sean, I'll wrap with this for you guys because I think it's really valuable. My mentorship program, POD, right? It's $18,000, $3,000 per month, right? We only work with certain types of people because the financial investment is pretty significant for people that are running small companies, right? And for people that are running $50,000, $60,000 agencies, those are the ones we can help hit $150,000, $200,000 pretty well because they have the finances to be able to afford it. When I talk to those people and I explain to them the program, I always explain this part. It's like the financial aspect of it is the easiest part. I know right now for you, it's the thing you're likely most concerned about, but it's by far the easiest part. This is not a bakery, right? My mentorship program is not a bakery. You're not paying for an extremely expensive muffin or pizza or whatever. Like you're paying for mentorship. Meaning I can't control the variables and the levers. Like I can't care more about the business than you do. I can't force you to show up. I can't make you do the things. Accountability is not a hammer. I can't just beat you over the head with it until you do it, right? They're reminders and reasonings and urgency, but I can't care more than you. It's why the common model is you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't force it to drink. That's what this is. If you can't show up and do the work and execute, then don't make the investment. I do this every time on every single call, Sean, and also after they tell me, hey, I'm ready to get started. Every single time someone says, I'm ready to get started, I remind them, okay, you're talking about the financial part. I'm cool and excited that you're good with the financial part, but I want to remind you what I actually mean. Because my job, Sean, and the people that trust me is, well, when I get the payment from you, it's not like everything I just said means nothing. Now the job starts for us. It's not like, oh, you paid us and like, okay, fuck it. Let's go find another Sean now. He just paid us. What a sucker. Obviously, that's not how I operate. Obviously. Instead, it's like, okay, now we're going to do the work that we just promised. Are you going to follow up through it? Oh, well, I paid for it. Yeah, but you got to do the stuff. You can't go to a gym and be like, okay, give me abs. Do it. I don't have abs because I just pay for them. I just pay for them. You don't go to LA Fitness and be like, well, I paid you for the year up front and I still don't have abs. Well, maybe don't eat donuts every single day and show up to one fucking class. Yeah. No, I paid you though. Why is it not here? It doesn't make any sense, right? So you have to understand the type of business that you're running. It depends on the business. You know, my business is a mentorship company, so it requires the effort from the client. An e-commerce business might not need anything from the client. A SaaS business needs a little bit, you know, an agency needs a little bit. So it's not just the financial commitment. It's also the time commitment. And when you utilize that, it makes sales much more reasonable and showcases real expectation setting, especially what I call the pull away close. When someone tells you I'm ready to start and you're like, great, the money's the easy part though. You're going to do the actual stuff we're talking about, right? Like you're going to use the service. You're going to work with it. I'm going to help you, but you're going to do it. You're committing to that, not the money. The money's the easy part. And when they hear that from you after they've already said that they want it, that showcases to them that you're legitimately needing them to understand the value of what the product really is, which is them utilizing the tool.
Gotcha.
Right? That's the key.
Alex, man, thank you so much. I got on here late and, you know, my apologies for that, but this is in that little bit of
my
time.
I'm
Maximum
so
value.
And yeah, you know, like I'm going to get off this call and just be angry. So mad.
Can't wait to meet you at the event, man. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it as well. For those of you who don't know, Extendly and POD are running an event in Tampa, Florida, September 7th, 8th, and 9th. Prospectingondemand.com/live is the one. If you want to grab your tickets, you can. If the site does not let you buy tickets, then we sold out. I think you should be fine, but let me know if it didn't let you. But you should be good. All right, fam, I'm going to rock and roll. Going to go pick up my son from school. Have a lovely rest of your day. Wish you all well. We are always here every single Thursday, 4:00. Brian will be here next week. We're going to have an amazing training for you all next Thursday at 4:00. We'll see you then.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Want to learn Go High Level in a structured format? Check out the gohighlevel.com by Extendly. We guarantee to save you 6 months of wasted subscription costs for High Level. Just visit the gohighlevel.com.